Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. My girlfriend's little sister stepped on stage and snatched the mic. I heard the crowd gasp before I even turned. My name is Jake and I was 29 then. That was the night I almost watched my career die. I had been mid-joke and she walked straight at me. No smile, no warning, just that locked little smirk. I thought she wanted to whisper something and then click. The mic left my hand and the room shifted forward. Nobody was laughing now, which is poison for a comic. She turned toward the crowd like it was her birthday party. You guys know this man is not actually funny, right? Her voice hit the speakers and everyone laughed from pure discomfort. I forced a grin and shrugged like it was all planned. Inside, I felt this dull, heavy thud behind my ribs. I reached for the mic and she pulled it away. Relax, Jake, I am helping your set. She pushed my shoulder like we rehearsed some cute bit together. We had never rehearsed anything and my chest tightened. I laughed into the dead air and waited for a miracle. The front table stared like they had paid for live drama. This was the biggest crowd I had pulled so far. I knew the booker sat near the back watching everything. Walk off now and I look weak, stay and I risk disaster. So I stayed and tried to play it as edgy crowd work. She raised the mic and pointed straight at my chest. Look at him, he lives off my sister and tells jokes. The room exploded with one of those nervous, messy laughs. I felt my ears burn while I tried to keep smiling. I knew that exact line would stick on every recording. I leaned in close and grabbed the mic halfway from her hand. Wow, give it up for my unpaid publicist, everyone. A few claps, one whistle, mostly people waiting for blood. She yanked the mic back and rolled her eyes at me. He is older but still chasing this little hobby thing. In the third row, I saw the first phone rise. Then another and another until it felt like a forest. I should have stopped everything right there and walked off. Instead, I heard myself talking, like my mouth detached from me. This is fine, we are just doing a surprise roast. I glanced at my girlfriend and she would not meet my eyes. Her sister saw that tiny flinch and smelled blood right away. See, even she knows this whole thing is pathetic. My girlfriend pressed her lips together and took a long drink. I felt something crack that had nothing to do with jokes. I turned away from them and aimed at a random table. So anyway, you two look like you fight over playlists. They chuckled politely, then looked back at her like permission. She laughed loud over them and waved the mic above us. No, we're talking about how broke my man is. She started listing fake numbers like she had my bank app. 0 savings, maxed cards, living off my angel sister. The crowd howled at the word angel because it sounded so loaded. I watched the booker fold his arms and lean back slow. Every comic knows that posture means you are one bad night away. One of the staff stepped near the stage and lifted a hand. He looked at me first like he wanted my call. If I nod, they cut her mic and I look controlling again. If I let her run this bit, I might never work here again. I held my hand low and shook my head like a coward. She saw the staff back off and her shoulders dropped with relief. Last week he cried because one video got 10 views. That was not even true, but it sounded right to them. People love a loser meltdown, especially when it involves cheap humor. I heard one guy near the bar mutter damn and laugh. My fists clenched around nothing because she still had the mic. I pictured grabbing it back and just ending the set. Another part of me wanted to scream at everyone for enjoying this. Instead, I swallowed hard and tried another cheap self-deprecating line. If I roast myself first, maybe they will stop letting her swing. Yeah, she is right, I do sleep on dreams, not mattresses. A few people laughed, but it felt thin and forced. Her sister clapped slow like she owned the punchline anyway. See, at least he knows his place now. The room oohed like she had landed the final hit of a fight. Finally, the host rushed out and reached between us for the mic. Thanks, folks, that is our family drama for tonight. He laughed tight and cut the sound before she could answer. The crowd clapped from habit while I stood there breathing wrong. In the last row, a girl kept filming, and I knew this was not over. The door hit the wall behind me and bounced. I walked straight into the hallway and pulled at my collar. The host hurried after me and asked if I was good. My throat felt tight and I could not get a word out. She came skipping down the hallway like she won a contest. That little half smile was still glued on her face. We killed it out there, people loved that bit. I remember staring at her and thinking she believed that. I told her she hijacked my set and my job. She shrugged and checked her phone like I was overreacting. Relax, I made you interesting, now people will remember you. Something inside me, that thin faith I had in her, snapped hard. My girlfriend rushed in before I answered and looked between us. What is going on? People out there are talking. Her sister folded her arms and dropped her chin slightly. He lost it on stage and scared me in front of everyone. I took one step back because that word scared hit different. My girlfriend turned to me, waiting for my denial or something. I tried to explain. She grabbed the mic and would not stop. Her eyes narrowed like I was leaving out something important on purpose. You were harsh, you backed her into a corner up there. She moved closer to her sister and touched her shoulder gently. I stood there, hands open, like a teacher caught yelling at kids. In my head, I replayed the set and felt the twist begin. We stepped outside because the host wanted the hallway clear. The night air hit me and I finally breathed the whole way. People were leaving the club and clustering near the entrance. Her sister walked ahead of us and started to raise her voice. I cannot believe you grabbed me like that on stage. She threw that line out loud enough for strangers to hear. A couple near their car turned to watch us fully. My girlfriend shot me a fast warning look that said stop. I told her I only touched her arm when she blocked me. She took 2 steps back like I had lunged across the lot. Do you hear him? He is twisting everything again. Somebody closer to the door pulled out a phone and held it steady. I felt every muscle in my back go rigid at once. I wanted to yell that she had started this circus. Instead, I heard myself apologize just to shut it down. I am sorry it got out of hand up there. She sniffed hard, no tears yet, just noise. My girlfriend rubbed her back and glared at me over her shoulder. You know how she is, you pushed too far tonight. That you know how she is, line hit like a verdict. I asked if we could continue this somewhere without an audience. Her sister laughed short and sharp and spun toward the door. Yeah, run away again, that is what you do best. A couple from the show walked past us and avoided my eyes. On the ride home, she stared out her window and stayed quiet. The silence felt heavy, like someone else riding in the backseat. I tried to say that this night mattered for my booking. She finally answered that I cared more about strangers than family. You embarrassed her in front of everyone, that is not okay. I reminded her that the first weird move came from her sister. She drummed her fingers on her knee and breathed through her nose. She is younger, you should have protected her up there instead. I remember gripping the steering wheel until my hands hurt. I wanted to ask who was supposed to protect my work. Instead, I swallowed the question and watched the traffic light blur. That was the moment I started choosing quiet over myself. When we got to the apartment, she went straight to the bedroom. I stayed in the living room with my phone buzzing nonstop. Notifications kept rolling from people who had been at the show. Dude, that drama was wild tonight, hope everything is cool. I typed out a long reply about how it went. Before I hit send, I pictured screenshots in her family chat. I deleted the whole thing and answered with a thumbs up. That tiny blue icon felt like me shrinking on purpose. The next morning, my screen lit up before my alarm rang. Her family group thread sat at the top with dozens of messages. I opened it and saw my name in block after block. Spoiled or not, she had got to them first with her version. He cornered me after the show and yelled in my face. He grabbed the microphone away and made me feel unsafe. Reading those lines, knowing what actually happened, made my stomach flip. They still believed her because they wanted a simple villain. One aunt dropped a message about my career being a silly phase. Another uncle wrote that real men do not attack younger women. No one asked where they got that story or how. They just built a case on top of each other like bricks. I started to type that she had stormed the stage uninvited. My fingers hovered over the screen while new texts stacked above. You should apologize before this spreads, he needs to fix it. Apparently, I was not even in the room and still on trial. My girlfriend walked in holding her phone with the same chat open. We read a line about her needing to think about better partners. She did not look at me, just stared at the wall. Maybe give it a day and then say sorry to her. I asked if she actually believed I had gone after her sister. She shrugged slowly, like the answer changed nothing either way. All they saw was her, shaking in the parking lot outside. That was when I realized my version existed only in my head. My buddy's text landed before my coffee finished brewing. "You are on TikTok, right? Now manned." No good morning, no emoji, just that line sitting there. I knew before opening it that this was about her. The clip started with her face close to the camera. No makeup drama, no tears, just that practiced serious look. Story time about my sister's comedian boyfriend who scared me last night. She let that sentence hang while sad music played under it. I watched myself stumble into frame behind her in the club video. Someone had cut it to make every moment look aggressive. Me reaching for the mic froze on a zoomed frame. The caption called me controlling, with a little red flag emoji. I paused the video and stared at my own expression. I did look tense, I cannot lie about that. Freeze any comic mid-bomb and they look unhinged. But online that tight face turned into proof of something darker. Comments stacked under the clip like falling bricks. "Dump him, girl, this is abuse hiding as jokes." Others tagged pages that share messy relationship stories every day. I saw my stage name there twisted into insults. I checked the view count and felt my pulse stutter. Thousands already, growing faster than I could process. The screen refreshed and the number jumped again in front of me. It hit me that strangers now thought they knew my private life. I walked into the bedroom with my phone still playing. She was on her side scrolling through her own apps. "You knew she posted this?" My voice came out rougher than I planned. She flinched, not from fear, more from annoyance. "I saw it earlier, do not watch the comments." "So you are okay with her calling me a threat?" I held the phone out and let the sound keep going. She barely glanced at the clip, then turned back to her screen. "People exaggerate online, this will pass if you ignore it." That word ignore made my jaw clench harder than anything said on stage. I realized she still saw this as some silly internet fad. Another clip appeared, this one from a different angle. Someone else had posted the full interruption from their table. They chopped my jokes out and left only her yelling lines. The caption asked followers to watch till the end and choose sides. I watched my own half-hearted smile freeze in the middle. Right when I touched her arm, the audio cut for effect. Then her voice came in over black screen talking about fear. "You ever been trapped on stage with a man acting like this?" I shut the app and tossed the phone onto the couch. For a second, I actually thought about quitting comedy completely. That is the part I still hate admitting, even now. One night flipped the thing I loved into something radioactive. My phone buzzed again and I forced myself to look. A local comic sent a screenshot of a club's page. They had shared her video on their story with a vague caption. "We stand with women in our community, everyone deserves safety." The comic followed up with a question. "Is this about you?" people are asking around. I stared at the typing bar and tried to craft one neat reply. Everything I wrote sounded either defensive or guilty when I read it. Finally, I just answered. "That clip is edited, it is not the full crowd view." He wrote back fast, no judgment, just blunt reality. Bookers hate drama, even when it is not your fault. An email pinged right after that message. It was from the club where everything happened. They wanted to pause future dates while they review concerns. Reading that line, I felt something drop out from under me. I know venues work off vibes and risk. One viral accusation can scare them faster than any bad review. Still, watching my next shows disappear in one short paragraph hurt. It felt like being fired without a chance to speak in person. Later that week, another opportunity came from a different room. The host texted asking if I was still down for Friday. Then there was a second message after a short pause. "Lot of chatter about you online, you good to handle a crowd." I should have canceled right there and regrouped. Instead, I wanted to prove I was still worth booking. I told him I was fine and ready to work. I lied to both of us because my hands trembled while typing. The night of that show, comics greeted me with careful smiles. A couple of them hugged me a little too gently. One leaned close and whispered, "Internet is rough right now, just hit your material and bounce." I laughed it off and pretended I did not care. Inside, I could feel every nerve buzzing like a bad microphone. As the crowd filled in, I kept picturing those comment threads. I imagined every person already knew the story before I began. When the host called my name, my legs felt made of wood. I walked up anyway because habit took over faster than fear. The first bright sound from the speakers startled me for real. I opened my mouth and my planned opener vanished completely. So I did the worst possible thing. I tried to joke about the situation right away. "Y'all ever get canceled by your girlfriend's fam? Wiley on TikTok?" Silence hit first, then a confused chuckle from one corner. I pushed harder instead of backing off. I started reenacting the night, chopping it into punchlines. Whenever I mentioned her sister, a few people shifted uncomfortably. They did not know her, they only saw a man attacking a younger woman. Halfway through the bit, someone yelled from near the bar, "You are that guy from the video." The word that carried more weight than his whole tone. Everyone turned their heads and stared like they recognized a villain. My chest locked up and my timing collapsed. I stumbled into an old joke about rent that usually landed. This time it fell flat, not even a pity laugh. They were not here for comedy anymore, they were here for confirmation. I rushed through the rest of my time without really hearing myself. Every pause felt like a verdict, every missed laugh like evidence. When the host tapped his watch from the side, I baited early. Walking off, I could feel eyes follow me all the way down. In the hallway, another comic handed me a bottle of water. "Rough crowd tonight, you will get them next time." He would not meet my gaze for more than a second. I knew he had seen the same clips and believed at least half. The host pulled me aside near the sound booth. "Look, people here are nervous because of that online stuff." I started to explain, started to mention the edit and context. He raised his hand gently and cut me off mid-sentence. "I do not know what really happened, I just run shows. If customers complain, owners start watching my choices carefully." He took a breath and glanced toward the bar where people gathered. "Maybe lay low for a bit, let things cool down." Walking to my car, I checked my phone again. Someone had already uploaded a shaky clip of me bombing. The caption laughed about karma catching up fast. Under it, I saw her sister's username liked the post. That tiny heart icon hit harder than every missed laugh combined. It proved she was not just hurt, she was entertained by the fallout. I had to admit something ugly to myself right then. She did not want an apology, she wanted a ruined name. When I finally got home, the apartment felt colder than usual. My girlfriend sat on the couch with her screen glowing. She did not ask how the show went, she already knew. "You should stop talking about her online, somebody in the family is upset." I stared at her, trying to process that phrase. In their minds, I was the one smearing her reputation now. I asked which relative was mad this time. She locked her phone and mentioned her parents wanted dinner soon. "They want to clear the air," that is how she put it. The way she avoided my eyes told me it was not a casual hangout. A sit down with her parents, after all this, never ends softly. I realized the next stage of this mess would not be on camera. Her dad opened the door before we even knocked. He filled the frame with his tight, polite smile. Behind him, I heard plates clinking way too loud. My stomach already knew this was not just dinner. "Come on in, we have been waiting." He stepped aside without really looking at me. My girlfriend brushed past me and hugged her mom. I stood there for a beat longer than normal, already behind. Her mother gave me a quick squeeze and pulled back fast. "We are glad you could make time tonight." The words sounded stiff, like something rehearsed in the mirror. I told myself to breathe and not start a fight yet. Her sister lounged on the couch with her legs crossed. Phone in her hand like an extra limb, screen glowing. She glanced up, met my eyes for half a second. Then she looked away with this wounded little sigh. "Hey." That was all she gave me, one word. No joke about the show, no fake cheer. Honestly, that scared me more than any loud insult. We all moved toward the dining table like actors. Her parents took one side together, shoulder to shoulder. My girlfriend slipped into the chair beside her sister. I realized I was the only one on my side. Her dad folded his hands and cleared his throat once. So there are some things we should discuss. No prayer, no small talk, straight to the point. I felt my chest tighten because I knew who the topic was. Her mom glanced at our joined hands under the table. We love you, but we are concerned. Whenever people start with "we love you," I brace. It usually means a list of reasons they do not trust you. We all saw those videos, the ones everyone keeps sharing. Her dad's voice stayed controlled, almost too calm. That night did not look like a comedy show at all. It looked like you were losing control in front of everyone. Her sister sniffed softly and brushed at her eye. I watched for actual tears and saw just moisture. I know he did not mean to scare me, but he did. That last part landed with this careful tremble in her tone. My girlfriend squeezed her hand and nodded slowly. She has been really shaken up since that night. I stared at both of them and felt my jaw tighten. Apparently, I was the only one not invited to that script meeting. I leaned forward and tried to keep my voice steady. She came on stage without warning during my paid time. I did not drag her anywhere, I did not threaten her. All I did was try to get back the microphone. Her dad pursed his lips and looked at his plate. You raised her voice, she is not used to that. I almost laughed because I had heard her scream at people. Not that any of that counted now, not in this room. Her mom jumped in before I could answer that part. We know comedy can be rough, we understand hecklers. But this was family, not some stranger in the crowd. You have a responsibility to protect her, not put her down. That line hit me harder than any online comment. Protect her like I was some kind of guardian assigned. I took a breath and felt my hands shake slightly. She walked into my work and started tearing it apart. Her sister let out a tiny laugh and then covered it. I had a couple of drinks, maybe I misread the room. But when you grabbed at me, I panicked up there. She looked down, letting that image hang over the table. I remembered touching her elbow, quick and light. In that space, though, that detail did not matter. They pictured something bigger, something uglier. I could feel my version shrinking inside my own head. Her dad pointed at me with two fingers pressed together. You have to understand how that sounds to people online. Perception is everything these days, reputations change in an hour. That is not just about you, it reflects on our daughter. So that was the real crack under all this. It was not only about fear or boundaries. It was about their image, their social circle, their comfort. I suddenly saw myself as a problem they wanted cleaned up. I tried one more time to push actual facts. Clubs are second-guessing me because of those videos. The edits leave out every line she threw at me. I am getting punished while she gains followers off the story. Her mom's eyes flashed and she clenched her napkin tightly. Do not accuse her of chasing attention, that is unfair. She is trying to heal from something humiliating. You are the adult in this relationship, act like it. That adult word sliced deeper than they realized. I felt 12, standing there blamed for something twisted. At the same time, I heard a tiny voice inside. You did stay on stage, you did keep going. I am not pretending I handled it perfectly, I know that. I joked when I should have stopped the show entirely. I smiled while she dragged my name through the room. I thought I could fix everything with one clever line. Her dad leaned back and crossed his arms slowly. The problem is this pattern we are starting to notice. Every time something goes wrong, it turns into a joke later. Some situations are not material, they are warnings. My girlfriend finally looked directly at me. You talked about us on stage last week. She swallowed and her voice shook more than before. You turned our fight into a bit for strangers. I blinked because I had expected that to stay private. Someone had obviously sent them the video from that show. I remembered the crowd's sympathy and their laughter. Sitting here, the set suddenly felt like evidence, not art. I tried to explain how stage stories work. If I do not talk about life, I have nothing. She cut across my sentence with a sharp gesture. You can talk about life without painting me as the villain. That word again, villain, hung between us. Funny how it always lands on the person holding a microphone. I wanted to ask who had posted about who first. Instead, I chewed the inside of my cheek until I tasted metal. Her sister finally dropped the wounded act for a second. When you joked about my drinking, people laughed at me. Her voice sharpened and I saw real anger now. They repeated those lines in my messages for days. I remembered every little dig she had tossed me in private. Every time she called my career a hobby in front of friends. I almost started listing those moments one by one. I stopped because I realized they would hear that as character assassination. Instead, I spoke slower, trying to sound calm and logical. I only mentioned things that happened in front of the audience. I did not call you names, I did not talk about your past. I reacted to what you did that night, nothing more. Her dad tapped the table twice, bringing everything back. This is going nowhere, we are not attacking you. We want a solution before this damages everyone beyond repair. In their version, I was the one swinging the hammer. Her mom exhaled and laid out their plan. You apologized to her face to face for scaring her. Then you post something online, taking responsibility for your behavior. After that, we all move on together as a family. That word family hit different after the last weeks. I realized I had never really been counted in TH. At group, I was more like a guest who stayed too long. Now they were deciding if I could remain at their table. My girlfriend watched my face while they spoke. This is reasonable, nobody is asking you to lie. Just say you handled it badly and you regret it. Her eyes begged me to choose peace, not truth. Here is the problem, and I see it clearly now. If I agreed to their script, her version became official. Every club owner who saw that post would nod. Look, even he admits he behaved aggressively. Back then, I still hoped I could fix both sides. My instinct was to compromise until nothing of me remained. So I tried one last clumsy middle path. I can apologize for staying on stage too long. Her sister rolled her eyes and leaned back hard. Wow, that is such a non-apology classic. She nudged my girlfriend with her elbow like they shared a joke. Any warmth I still felt for that family started burning out. Her dad's voice lost the fake softness completely. You raise your voice at our daughter or her sister again, you are done here. We will not watch them get humiliated by your career choices. This was not a warning, it was a closing statement. Her mom chimed in with one more push. And stop telling stories about our private life to strangers. That is not art, that is disrespect. Never mind that their child had told millions her own cut version. I know how all this sounds with me telling it. Of course, I paint myself as the only rational person. The truth is, I was angry enough to say something stupid. Part of me wanted to shout until someone finally listened. Instead, I did what I always did around them. I swallowed it all and nodded like I agreed. I am sorry for how things looked that night. I regret that you felt cornered on stage. Her sister's mouth twitched into a tiny satisfied smile. Thank you, that is all I wanted from the beginning. We both knew that was a lie, even if no one admitted it. She had wanted fallout and she had gotten it. Her mom relaxed her shoulders and reached for the serving dish. Good, then we can finally eat in peace. The whole room shifted into fake normal in one breath. I sat there chewing food I could not taste, planning my exit. Under the table, my girlfriend squeezed my leg once. Thank you for doing that, I know this is hard. I looked at her and tried to imagine a future here. All I saw was more meetings like this, more staged forgiveness. Later that night, as we walked to the car, I tested something. If I tell this story on stage again, will you leave? She stiffened without answering right away. That pause told me almost everything I needed to know. Finally she spoke, voice barely above a whisper. If you keep attacking my family in your act, I cannot stay. She did not say if you keep telling the truth, she said attacking. In her mind, my perspective had become violence all by itself. I stared at the dark street and heard my heart pounding. Back then, I still loved her enough to pretend I would stop. Now telling you this, I see the turning point clearly. That night at her parents' table, I realized I was outnumbered in every room. I took her name off the guest list before I hit send. My finger hovered over the screen for a full minute. One tap and the booking for Friday became official again. No family this time, no surprise relatives near the stage. The host texted back almost right away. Glad you are still working, you doing the relationship stuff tonight. I stared at that question and felt my chest tighten. Yeah, I wrote I am doing it my way. All week the apartment felt smaller than usual. We moved around each other, careful and distant. Anytime my phone buzzed, she glanced over with quick suspicion. I started answering messages in the hallway, which says enough. The night of the set, I drove alone on purpose. I kept the radio off so my own thoughts got loud. In the rearview mirror, my face looked older than before. Drama ages you faster than late hours ever could. Inside the venue, comics nodded when they saw me. No pity hugs this time, just short greetings and eye contact. One of them nudged my shoulder as I walked by. You going to talk about the big scandal tonight? Brave move. I laughed once, sharp and quick, just to stay loose. Part of me wanted to run out the door. Another part, the stubborn side that started this path, dug in. If I did not claim my own story, someone else would. When the show started, I watched the crowd from the back. They looked regular, couples and friends and tired people. Nobody here knew me as the guy from that video. At least that is what I told myself between breaths. The host warmed them up with safe material about traffic. The room relaxed, that hum comics depend on took shape. I checked my notes once, then shoved the phone away. Tonight had to sound like talking, not reading off wounds. My turn came faster than I expected. Walking to the microphone felt like stepping into court. I opened with a dumb observation about grocery carts. They laughed louder than I deserved, and I almost exhaled. I ran a couple more bits, quick and tight. Each laugh loosened something clenched between my shoulder blades. For the first time in weeks, the room felt like mine. That was my sign to finally take the risk. So I shifted right into it without warning. I told them I had recently become the bad guy online. Not for cheating, not for a crime, for comedy. The crowd quieted in that focused way performers crave. I mimed someone storming toward me during a set. I reenacted the moment a relative snatched the mic away. People already started laughing just at the awkward body language. Pain looks funny from a safe distance, I understand that now. I told them she had called me a leech to my face. I did not name her, did not say how we were related. I just let the line hang until someone gasped. Then I dropped the next piece, softer than usual. I said I tried to be cool about it that night. I explained how I kept smiling while my stomach dropped. I admitted I stayed up there too long trying to win. That was the part that hurt to admit out loud. You know, that point where dignity taps your shoulder and leaves. They laughed, not at her this time, at that feeling. I could see recognition hit people who had never held a microphone. They knew what it meant to stay in the wrong moment. Then someone near the bar shouted, "Was that you in that crazy video?" The whole place turned toward him, waiting for my reaction. I felt the tension spike and decided not to dodge anymore. Yeah, that was me, I said into the mic. I told them the edit had cut out her first move. I described how the story got flipped before I even spoke. I watched faces change as they connected it with their own messes. I did not pretend to be innocent in every way. I told them I used jokes as armor more than anything. I talked about how quick the internet builds a villain. How slow it is when you try to explain nuance. They did not cheer like a movie crowd, nothing cheesy. But there was this murmur, that sound of people tracking you. I threw in one last line to keep it comedy. If I get canceled, at least let it be for a closer that works. That one landed hard, laughter rolling from the front row back. I felt my shoulders drop 3 inches while they kept laughing. Phones were out again, pointed at me from different angles. This time I did not feel trapped under them, just exposed. I ended my set on another topic so it did not linger. When I walked off the stage, the host slapped my arm twice. That was the clearest you have sounded through all this. For once I believed him more than my own anxious brain. In the hallway, a younger comic approached me carefully. Thanks for talking about that, my cousin dragged me online last year. We shared this weird tiny smile, like veterans of a dumb war. I realized my private humiliation had turned into a shared language. By the time I stepped outside, my phone already blinked. Someone had posted a short recording of the new bit. The caption called it honest and brutal and funny. I watched the view count start moving and felt less sick. I was still staring at the screen when I saw her. She leaned against my car, arms crossed tight across her chest. No text, no heads up, just her waiting in the dark. My stomach dropped for the second time that night. You did it anyway. Her voice came out flat, no wobble. She pushed off the car and walked toward me slowly. I slipped the phone into my pocket like a kid hiding gum. I asked how she even knew about the set. She pulled out her own screen and showed a notification flash. Your friend tagged me before you even left the stage. Her jaw clenched on the word friend like it tasted wrong. She told me her sister had called her sobbing on the phone. Apparently the new routine reached her within 30 minutes. He is turning me into a character now, that was the complaint. Like she had not done the exact thing first to millions. I said the bit never mentioned any names or private details. I reminded her that I had left out how they spoke to me. I pointed out that I own my part in what went wrong. None of that moved her, not even a little. You mocked my family again in front of strangers. She stepped closer until I could see the anger clearly. I told her I had talked about myself more than anyone. The crowd laughed at my mistakes, not her version of events. She shook her head slowly, hair falling into her face. You know how this works, people will connect the dots. They will dig through old posts and find her page. Then she has to relive everything, thanks to you. I wanted to scream at the word relive. She had benefited from every replay while my work collapsed. Instead, I kept my voice calm, almost annoyingly steady. She still has all her videos up, mine was one set. Delete the new routine, she said, we can deal with the rest. Later. She lifted her chin like that was the generous option. In her mind, that compromise cost her something real. In mine, it cost me the only tool I had left. I told her if I erased it, the story stayed crooked. I said I was tired of apologizing for existing on stage. I admitted I finally felt like myself up there again. I was not ready to give that up for another peace treaty. Her eyes filled, this time with real tears, not performance. So you are picking jokes over us? That sentence punched through every defense I had built. It forced me to answer the question I had avoided for months. If us means me being quiet while they drag me, then yes. The words came out before I could dress them up. For a second we both stood there shocked by my honesty. Part of me wanted to pull them back into my mouth. She looked at me like a stranger standing in my clothes. She whispered that her parents had warned her about artists. Unstable, selfish, always chasing attention, that was their script. Right there I watched her decide they had been right. I told her I did not need her to protect my reputation. I needed her to admit her sister went too far that night. I needed at least one person to say it out loud. She stared over my shoulder, anywhere but at me. I cannot go against my family like that. Her voice went soft, almost apologetic, which hurt more. In her mind it was that simple, family first always. In mine, loyalty without truth felt like slow suffocation. She asked again one last time to delete the routine. She promised things would calm down if I just let it go. I understood then that her calm depended on my silence. My future depended on the opposite, speaking when it stung. So I told her no clearly, without a joke. I said I would post that set myself if I had to. I said I was done letting other people edit my life. Each sentence felt like burning a bridge while standing on it. She nodded once, like she had expected that answer secretly. Then she said the words I knew were coming anyway. I cannot stay with someone who humiliates my sister on purpose. She walked past me toward the street without looking back. I did not chase her this time, which surprised even me. I leaned against my own car and let the night press in. For a moment I thought about every good memory with her. Then the intervention at her parents' place replayed itself frame by frame. On the drive home I replayed the set instead. Not the breakup, not the fight, just the performance. I could still hear that moment when the audience went quiet. Not from anger, from listening, which is rarer than laughter. Back at the apartment, I opened my laptop right away. The new video already had more supportive comments than hate. People were arguing under it, which I knew meant risk. It also meant my side finally existed somewhere outside my head. I posted it to my own page with a short caption. I wrote that comics mess up shows, but nobody deserves a false label. I wrote that family problems get ugly when they go public. I wrote that I was not a monster, just a guy learning boundaries. I fully expected a fresh wave of attacks to hit. I knew her sister would probably respond with another performance. I knew some clubs might still decide I was trouble. I also knew I would rather be honest trouble than quiet furniture. Over the next weeks, bookings trickled back, slower but real. Some venues stayed away, others invited me because of the bit. Audiences came up after shows and shared their own messy stories. It did not fix everything, but it stitched something inside me. I will not pretend I walked away untouched. I lost a relationship, I gained a scarred little chunk of material. To this day, when I tell that story on stage, I feel it. Not revenge, not victory, just the weight of finally choosing myself. That is how her spoiled little sister tried to end my career. That is also how she accidentally gave me the most honest routine I have ever written. Every time someone laughs at it, I hear a different sound under it. It is the sound of me refusing to hand my life to someone else again.